Hey everybody, Whitney LaBrie here. Today we're shooting on location at this very old and possibly haunted abandoned dollhouse. I've got my ghost meter here, so let's go ahead and check it out. Now do you see that piano right over there? Well, that's what we're going to be working on today. I'm gonna get back to ghost hunting and I'll let you know if I find anything spooky or suspicious.
All right, everybody, so here is the piano that we're going to be altering today and making into an abandoned piano. Now, this is a Bespaq piece here, and it is broken. It has some issues. The top portion of it is already broken off. The piece that holds the music stand up is also broken off. It's not in really bad condition. The bottom, you can see that the foot pedals are also, you're missing all the foot pedals, and then some of them are actually broken off. This is a Renwall piece here, a plastic bench. It already has some cracking and everything, which reminds me the piano itself also has some checking and splitting of the finish. And I think you could really go either way at this point. If you wanted to refurbish it, you could do that too, but we're going to go in the other direction. So the first thing I'm going to do is sand it down. I don't need to completely sand it. I actually want a lot of that mahogany to shine through. So I'm just going to rough up the edges and try to bring out some of those details just by sanding the piece. And then of course this is what it looks like, and I'm not even going to dust off any of that sand. I'm just going to do the next layer right on top of it. Before we move on, I want to take a look at some of these inspirational photos here of the type of piano that I want to create. So these spaces, I just really love them. There's something about them that is kind of ominous. Really, when we look at these photos, I really think of liminal spaces. You imagine that at one point there was music being played on these and perhaps a lot of joy or sadness or emotion surrounding in these type of spaces in these rooms. And when we look at them, they're now abandoned and quiet and filled of what looks like places of transition or nostalgia. So the next layer is taking Elmer's glue and some water, and we're going to do 2 parts glue and 1 part water. And the key here is really to get just a kind of a soupy consistency. What I'm wanting to do is do a crackle finish on the top of this, and in order to do that, this is going to be the first layer. So I'm just going to mix it up really good, like I said, to a soupy consistency, and then I'm going to just take a nice healthy scoop of it on my paintbrush, and this paintbrush here is kind of a bristle brush, and I'm going to start lathering it on to the top of my piano here. I kind of want it to be kind of goopy when it goes on. That's actually going to help with the crackling. In the thinner areas, I'll go back over and add a little bit more glue. And this is going to be a process. I want the whole piano to have a crackle finish on it. So once I do the lid, I will then set that aside and I'll do the whole base and body of the piano. I don't want the glue to dry, but I do want it to get pretty tacky. So make sure that your glue isn't dry when we add the next layer, which is going to be the paint layer. So in this case, I've decided to do a combination of brown and white. I'm going to really mix that up, but not fully. Did you guys see that paper towel move on its own? I'm just saying. So like I said, I'm going to mix that paint up, but I'm not going to mix it fully. I want it to be marbled. So we'll have a couple different colors throughout. And then I'm going to actually take a piece of wood here. You could, if you have like a sturdy brush or a real coarse bristle brush, and use that. But I'm just going to take this piece of wood and I'm going to start sliding the paint across the top of this piano. And you see how I'm just allowing the paint to separate as it goes on. I don't want it to be evenly coated across the top or the entire base of the piano either. See, I'm just lathering it on. And I'll do that for the legs and the whole front of the piano as well. Once that's completed, I'm just going to set that aside to dry, and it will take some time for this to completely dry because I did put the paint on pretty thick. If you are lacking time and you need to rush this a little bit, you can grab your hair dryer and then dry this, and that will take a lot less time. While that dries, let's check in with Tiny Whitney.
Is there anybody here with us right now? It says grape. I don't know what that means. Grape. What does grape mean?
I think grape means that house isn't haunted, Tiny Whitney. And here's the finished product here of what that will look like once everything is all nice and dry. You can really see the crackling here on the lid. It looks really, really good, and same for the base as well. All right, now I don't want that lid to go anywhere, so I did go ahead and glue it to the top. I just glued it crooked so that we could see inside the piano a little bit and still see the wiring and everything on the inside. I'm going to take the glue mixture that I have left over because I had quite a bit of that. And I'm going to take some flocking here. This is my green tuft right here. I'm going to start painting up the leg of the piano and then onto the side. And what I want this to really look like is maybe some moss is growing on it or mold is growing up the side of the piano. And I think I'm also going to do a little bit on the front also, and then some on the stool. So I'm just going to paint, like I said, a thin layer of glue. It doesn't need to be a lot of glue. Really, that tuft will stick to a very thin layer of glue, and so you don't really need a lot. I'm going to go on the top of it also, I think, and like I said, the front. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is sprinkle on my tufting onto all the areas where I painted on the glue. And because it's a little bit breezy today, this is going to make for some easy, quick cleanup outside, I'm telling you, because that wind is just going to pretty much blow that away. And then this is what it looks like. All right, now really, that looks pretty good. We could probably stop there and it would actually feel really nice. But I think I'm going to keep going here, and I'm going to add some dry vines and some dead foliage into the piano, into the top of it, where the part that's a little bit open, and then in some of the corners near the piano keys. So I'm just going to add a little bit more glue, and then I'll add the dead foliage into those different areas. Now to add dust. Now you can use walnut dust. That's really good. It's a little bit darker than this. I'm using today this Fuller's Earth powder. This stuff is really great. It's actually good for your skin too. And I'm going to use Elmer spray glue. And I'm also going to be using my vintage sifter here. Now the first thing I'll do before I sift any of the dust on top of this piano is I'm going to spray my Elmer spray and let it sit for a second. And then I'm going to grab my sifter and go ahead and sift that dust right on top of that piano. Okay, now, if for those of you who feel like this is a lot of dust, it is. I'm going to cake it on today. I really want that look. But let's say that you just want it to look like a little bit of dust is on your piece of furniture. This is all you would really need. Let it sit for a minute and then just blow off the dust with your mouth. Just blow it off, and that will give you the look of dust on top of a piece of furniture. But I really want this caked on like it's been sitting for many, many years and has a ton of damage. So I'm going to really add a lot of dust, and I will spray in between my dusting. So it'll really give it a caked on look. And then I'm going to set that aside to dry. Let me show you really quickly what it would look like if I had used a lot less dust, which some of you may prefer. So I have this table right here, and then I'm just going to go ahead and spray my glue on, and I'm going to go ahead and dust the top of it. Let it sit for just a second, and then I'll just blow as much as I can off, just like blowing it off with my mouth again, like I said. And this might be a better look for the piece you're working on. And then I thought that it would be really fun just to wet down my paintbrush and make a couple little tracks on the top of it so that it looked like maybe a little critter ran across the top. Now getting back to the piano, I thought it would be really fun to add maybe some other paper elements, maybe some music sheets that have been scattered along the floor of this house. And so I did print up some different music sheets, mostly classical, some Mozart, and I cut them out. Now I'm just going to take some brown paint and some cream paint and a little bit of that extra dust that you can see there on my mat. And I'm just going to mix those all around and really be very messy with it. Get the paint on my hands, get the paint all over the sheets, and then I'm going to put them in my sifter just so they don't blow away since I'm doing this outside. And then I'll mash them up all together to really make sure those music sheets get a lot of nice wrinkling to them and really a lot of age to them. And then that's going to be it for us today, you guys. I'm going to now put this into the little dollhouse. And there you go, you guys. There's the end result. Well, I hope that you really enjoyed this week's episode. It was a quick one, I think, but I really think that these techniques can be used in a lot of different applications, whether it's for your Halloween stuff, if you're doing abandoned projects, if you just want to show something is really dusty, this is a good technique that you can use also. So definitely, if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and do that. Let me know what you think of the video in the comments below, and please give my video a thumbs up. I really appreciate that. Well, it looks like Tiny Whitney is still in there trying to hunt down the ghost. For her sake, I hope she does find something, but for my sake, I hope she doesn't. You know what I mean? Thank you so much for all of your support. I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your week. And remember, in this crazy world, it's the little things that matter. Bye!